Following will be a demonstration of what you will need to do to pass the pre-trip portion of your CDL exam. We're going to start at the front of the bus. We're going to take a look at our clearance lights, our warning lights, our loading lights, our turn signals and hazard lights, our headlamps high and low beam. We want to make sure they're not cracked, broken, or damaged, there's no loose or missing parts, and they are the proper color. We're going to take a look at our bus to make sure it's not leaning to the left or to the right. We want to make sure that there are no fluid puddles of any kind, no coolant, no steering fluid, no power steering fluid, or any windshield wiper fluid or oil. We want to take a look at our crossing gate. We want to make sure it's not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our mirror brackets and mirrors. We want to make sure they're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. You will do this for each mirror and bracket on both sides. We're going to check out our hood latches and lift our hood. We want to start at the top and work our way to the bottom. We're going to start with our alternator. Our alternator is belt driven. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged. There are no loose or missing parts. This is the serpentine belt. It's not twisted or frayed. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged. No loose or missing parts. If I were to push on the belt, it would not deflect more than a ½ inch. We're going to take a look at our water pump. Our water pump is also belt driven. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, no loose or missing parts, and it's not leaking. We're going to take a look at our front and rear spring mounts. Front and rear spring mounts. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged. There are no loose or missing parts. We're also going to take a look at our torque leaf and spring leaf. Torque leaf and spring leaf are not shifted, cracked, or broken, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our U-bolts. The U-bolts are in place. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our shock absorber. Our shock absorber is bolted top and bottom, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and it's not leaking. We are going to also, we have our bolt bushings, which are in place, bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our ABS line and our brake line. The ABS and brake lines are tied down securely. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and neither one is leaking. They are attached securely to the brake chamber. The brake chamber is clamped securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our push rod and slack adjuster. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. If I were to chock the wheel and release the brake, this would not move more than 1 inch. We're going to take a look behind our brake dust cover. This is our dust cover. If we were to remove the dust cover, we could see that the brake linings were not worn dangerously thin, and the brake drums have no grease, oil, holes, dents, or debris. We're going to move up here. We're going to take a look at our front tire, steering tires. They are evenly worn. There's no less than 4/32 tread all the way across. The face of our tire has no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. The rim of our tire has no welds other than factory. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. I'm going to take a look at our valve stem. It's straight, it's centered, it has a metal cap, and if I were to check the pressure, we would use a tire pressure gauge. All of our lug nuts are tight and in place. If one was loose, we could see a rust trail. Our hub oil seal is bolted securely. All bolts are in place and tight. If it was loose, we would see a spray pattern, and the level of oil is properly set. We are going to look at our mud flap. It's securely fastened, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to walk over to the other side of the bus and check on that side. Once again, we're going to start up high and work our way down. We're going to look at our lines, wires, and hoses. We want to make sure that they are firmly attached, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our air compressor. Our air compressor is gear driven. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. It is gear driven. We're going to take a look at our oil dipstick. Our oil dipstick, to check on it, we would remove the stick, wipe it off, reinsert it, bring it back out again. It will read between add and full. We're also going to take a look at our coolant reservoir. Coolant reservoir, the cap is in place, the hoses are all connected and tight, nothing is kinked or leaking, and the level is between add and full. This will need more fluid added very soon. We're going to now take a look at our power steering fluid reservoir. The reservoir, you would check the level the same way as the oil. You would remove the dipstick, wipe it off, reinsert it, pull it out again. It will read between add and full. If you follow the hoses down, it will lead to the power steering pump. You can't see it directly. The power steering pump is gear driven. It's not cracked, broken, or damaged. There are no loose or missing parts, and nothing is leaking. We're going to take a look at our steering shaft, our gearbox. Our gearbox is bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. It is not leaking. All the connections are made, and they are not kinked or leaking. We have our pitman arm, our drag link, and our tie rod. Our tie rod and steering linkage is bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. I would check the brakes, suspension, and wheels the same on this side as I did on the other side. At our door, passenger door side. The door is in place, the glass is in place, the seals are good, nothing's cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. Our handrails are bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. The step tread is not lifted to pose a tripping hazard, and our step lights are in place, the proper color, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. Our DEF tank and cap and cage are in place, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. They're not leaking. And you'll see inside that the level is proper. Our sticker is in place and up to date. Our clearance lights on top, turn signals and hazard lights, our reflective tape and reflectors are the proper color. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. All the windows are not cracked, broken, or damaged as well. As we look under the bus, we're going to take a look at our frame and cross members. Frame and cross members. They're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We also want to take a look at our exhaust system. The exhaust system is straight, it's centered, it's not hanging on the hangers, and if it were to have a soot pattern would indicate a hole, and if we were to turn on the bus we would listen for excessive noise. We're going to take a look at our drive shaft. Drive shaft is straight, it's between the hangers but not hanging on the hangers. The hangers themselves are bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. The universal knuckle is not overly worn. not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. As we come back to the rear axle, we're going to take a look at our front and rear spring mounts. They're bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We're going to take a look at our torque leaf and our spring leaf. They're not shifted, cracked, or broken, no loose or missing parts. The bolt bushings are also in place, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We want to take a look at our U-bolts. Our U-bolts are bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. Our push rod and slack adjuster, they're very difficult to see back here, are not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. If I were to chock the wheels and release the brake, they would not move more than 1 inch. We're going to take a look at our brake ABS line and our brake line. They are clamped securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and they're not leaking. They're attached securely to the brake chamber, which is clamped securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and neither one is leaking. We're going to look across to our brake linings. If we were to move the dust cover, and brake drums. If we were to remove the dust cover, we would see that the brake linings are not worn dangerously thin, and the brake drums have no grease, oil, hole, dents, or debris. We're going to take a look at our bud wheel. Our bud wheel is right here. Our bud wheel is evenly spaced, but has no spacer, and there's nothing between my duals. We're going to look at the tread depth on the rear tires. We want to make sure that the tread depth is evenly worn all the way across and is no less than 2/32 tread all the way across. We want to take a look at the front of our tire. The front of our tire has no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. The rim has no welds other than factory. All of our lug nuts are in place and tight. If one was loose, we would see a rust trail. We have our axle seal in place and tight. All of the bolts are in place and tight. If this was loose or leaking, we would see a spray pattern. Our valve stems, the inner one and outer one, are straight. They're centered. They have metal caps. And if we were to check the tire pressure, we would use a tire pressure gauge. Our mud flaps are bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. As we continue back, we're going to take a look at our shock absorber. Our shock absorber is bolted top and bottom, has not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. It is not leaking. We also want to take a look at our air bags and the air mounts. The air mounts are bolted top and bottom, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and they are not leaking. We're going to take a look at our fuel tank, our fuel cage. They are bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and they are not leaking. We're also going to take a look at our fuel door, our fuel cap, fuel neck, and the inner cage as well. We want to make sure nothing's cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts, and it is not leaking. Okay, we're going to come around to the back. We're going to take a look at our clearance lights, our warning lights, our loading lights, our turn signal and hazard lights, our brake lights, our tail lights, our backup lights, our reflective tape, and reflectors. We want to make sure they are the proper color, not cracked, broken, or damaged. There are no loose or missing parts. We're going to open up the rear emergency door. We want to make sure that it locks into place. And when we release it and close the door, the lights and buzzer sound. And when we close it up, it all goes off. We would check this side of the bus as we checked the other side. In addition, we would check the stop arm, Stop arm is bolted securely, not cracked, broken, or damaged. No loose or missing parts. The reflector lenses are in place in the proper color, not cracked, broken, or damaged. You'll see in a moment that it's working. This is a circuit breaker bus. There are no additional fuses. We have a battery box. It contains 3 batteries. There's no corrosion. All the connections are made, and the tray is free of debris. Now we're going to go and get on the bus, check some of our emergency equipment. Okay, we're going to start with our emergency equipment up top here. We have our body fluid cleanup kit. It is fully stocked. Our first aid kit has 24 dry boxed bandages, proof of insurance, and 3 emergency contacts. Our fire extinguisher is rated, dated, and charged. It's 5-pound dry chemical. We have our 3 triangles, reflective triangles, and our 6 fusees right back here. There's 6 fusees in those boxes. Okay. We're going to take a look at our windshield. Windshield is in place, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. There's no decals, stickers, or cracks. All of our mirrors are adjusted for me. The student mirror, I can see all the way to the back and the top of the first seat. I'm going to do a safe start. Safe start means that the parking brake is set and the gear shift is in neutral. I'm going to turn to accessory. The ABS light comes on and promptly goes out. We're going to turn our lights on to illuminate all of our gauges. Our front and rear air tanks will build to between 120 and 125. At 125, the governor cutoff will make that noise that you just heard. Our voltmeter will sit between 12 and 14. Our fuel is ample for the trip that we need to take. We have our speedometer, our tachometer, our odometer. Our water temperature gauge will rise to approximately 190. Our oil will sit between 40 and 60, and our transmission will rise to the level it's supposed to. Our DEF has got adequate level in it at half. And we're going to check our inside indicators. Our inside left turn signal, our inside right turn signal, our high beam indicator, our hazard light indicators, our horn. We're going to test our reverse beacon, and we're going to check that our gear shift goes through each gear smoothly. We're going to test our fans, heaters, and defrosters, high, low, and off. We're going to test our stairwell heater and our driver's heater and our defroster, high, low, and off. We're going to listen for our midship heater and our rear heaters, high, low, and off. We are going to put our strobe light on, our indicator is on, the driver dome and passenger domes lights are all functioning properly. We're going to turn those off. We're going to look at our yellow warning lamps. We want to make sure that the inside indicators are functioning properly. There's 2 of them, and this one. And then we also want to check our loading light indicators. gear. When that lights are on, we want to also check our stop sign that it is extended and the lights are functioning, and our stop gate, which is extended. When we turn off the lights, they all come back in. Now we're going to get my doors functioning properly. The door opens, the step light comes on, and when we close it, it goes off and the door closes properly. At this time, I'm going to put my seatbelt on and we're going to do a series of brake tests. The first one we're going to do is we're going to test the parking brake. We're going to put the bus in gear and tug against the accelerator. We want to make sure that the parking brake is holding. It is. Now we're going to put the bus back, keep it into drive, and release the parking brake. And we're going to test the service brake. We're going to move forward approximately 5 miles an hour and press on the service brake, ensuring that we do not pull to the right or to the left and that we stop smoothly. Then we're going to put the bus back into neutral. We're going to keep the parking brake off and turn the bus off. We're going to put the bus back into accessory mode so all of our gauges function, but we're going to keep our foot off of the service brake. We want to make sure that our air tanks are holding and do not drop more than 2 psi in 1 minute. At this time, you'll ask the examiner if they would like to test the static brake test. It's no longer required in Ohio, but your state may require it, so ask your local examination station if they require the static brake test. Once they're done testing it for you, you can move on to the next test. That is going to be heavy pressure. After the initial drop, after the initial gauge drop, it will not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute, and you will again ask the examiner if they would like to test that. When they tell you to move on, you can move on to the next brake test. And that's going to be fanning the brakes. Before 60, a light and buzzer will sound. And when you continue fanning the brakes, see as it did, the parking brake will set itself. And that usually happens between 20 and 40. Okay, and it worked. They've all worked properly. We're going to start the bus back up again. We're going to build some pressure in our air tanks to get the emergency buzzer to stop going. And in the meantime, we're going to check the inside of the cabin. We're going to make sure that our seat is securely bolted to the floor, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. We already said that our seat belt is not cracked, broken, or damaged, is not frayed, ripped, or torn, and works properly. We're going to make sure that our seat cushions are attached securely to the seat frames. And we're going to do that by lifting up on each of them as we go back. And they're not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. On the way back, we're going to test our emergency exit. The lights come on, the buzzer sounds, opens freely, and when we close it up, all the lights go off and the sound goes off. We're going to continue checking our seats going back. We would check the other 3 window exits the same as we checked the first one. We're going to turn around and we're going to check our emergency exit, making sure it works freely from the inside as it does from the outside. The lights come on, the buzzer sounds, and when we close it up, everything goes off. We're going to check our seat backs to make sure they are bolted securely to the frames as well as we go back up the aisle. We're going to stop at our roof hatch, and we're going to see that when we open up, the lights come on, the buzzer sounds, and as you can see, the strobe light is on, functioning properly. It's the proper color, not cracked, broken, or damaged, no loose or missing parts. And when we close it up, everything goes off. We would check the other roof hatch the same as we checked this one. We're going to continue checking the backs of our seats, making sure they're secure. At this point, you would have your examiner go and check out all of your external lights. Make sure you show them the front, everything in the front. So what you're going to ask them to do is check your clearance lights all the way around. You want them to check your warning lights, loading lights, turn signals and hazards, high and low beam. On the left side of the bus or driver's side of the bus, you want them to check your clearance lights, your turn signals, hazards, and stop arm. In the back of the bus, you'll have them check your clearance lights, warning lights, loading lights, turn signals and hazards, backup lights, brake lights, tail lights. And on the right side of the bus or passenger side of the bus, you'll have them check clearance lights, step lights, turn signals and hazards. When they complete checking all of your lights, front and back, you will have completed your pre-trip portion of the exam, and you're ready to move on to maneuverability.